Hey guys, it's Megan Lynn here. I hope everybody had a great Halloween. I was initially going to do this because I did get an email about just dark entities, and I thought that would be a lot of fun for Halloween, but I ended up doing nothing instead. So that's just how things work sometimes. But I got asked or sent an email by Eddie. His name's Eddie. He was basically just saying, what kinds of dark entities are there, and versus what like psychokinetic energy is. So I thought I'd go through just what PK manifestations are, the difference between those, and then the difference between the PKs and dark entities that you would encounter if you guys are starting to have any weird experiences or have any more questions about that. I'm doing this so you guys know more about it, so you're not afraid of it. A lot of people are just really afraid of entities that have been summoned here, or anything on the dark side, and I'm just trying to reassure everybody that it really is nothing to be afraid of. So that way anybody getting more into it is more inclined to, if they are having night attacks, things like that. Once you can start preventing those yourself, the more we kind of get rid of summoned activity here, kind of the higher the vibration on the planet's going to be. So as far as PK manifestations go, that is a supposed psychic ability. It is tracked scientifically as having truth to that. But what it is it's a little literal manifestation of different energies. A lot of people who have this ability or are more prone to having this ability aren't aware that they're actually doing it. So as far as manifesting that kind of activity, a PK manifestation can take on different forms. So the more energy that's fed into it. So for example, if I'm really, really depressed for a long time and I'm just staying home all the time, and I'm not getting out, doing good things for myself, and I'm kind of stuck in a rut. If I am more prone to energetic abilities, psychic abilities, anything like that, what I could actually manifest is a literal entity of my own energy. And that will in turn take on whatever form of the negative energy that you're kind of projecting out. So as far as those PK manifestations, anybody with psychic abilities who are naturally drawn to that, or who are into energetic work, or strong, have strong energetic abilities, would be more prone to needing to be aware of when they're kind of going into a bad state, making sure that you're doing good things for yourself. Also doing things to ground your own energy. A lot of people who aren't grounded, who have psychic abilities, you can't. The best way I can explain it is if you're more up in the clouds and you don't have like a grounder to ground your own center, your own God spot, that energy will kind of be in a misheval. So anybody who's prone to that, PKs can come in a lot of different forms, and it all depends on what kind of energy you're projecting. So if I'm projecting, most of the time what happens is a lot of people don't know that they're really psychically inclined. So they may be in a bad place. I've had a lot of clients come to me and they just can't figure out what's going on when they've actually just manifested their own entity at their home, and then it continues to feed off of your fear, and the entity gets more power and more energy put into it. So as far as the different forms that those can take on, I see them in my mind's eye. I don't really except for in the like dark entities in the form of shadows and things like that. PKs come in, they're going to be more tend to be less like creature like looking. They're not gonna have like a human factor to them. A lot of the ones that I've seen are actually like mostly either shadow kind of figures, or they're weird shapes. Like it would be like a brick walking around. So that would be indicative of PK manifestations. They don't have like creature features that as much, and a lot of them are very creepy just for the inhuman factor that they have. That's from my experience. With PKs, you just want to make sure that whenever you're in a bad spot or anything like that you're grounding. A lot of people don't know how to ground. You can actually look up like grounding, visualization techniques. I can't talk today. I actually don't do those so much as I have to be outside. So for me to ground, I'll tend to, I just know that I have to exercise for me to ground my energy. I just know that that's something I have to do. I can't get around it. So I'll tend to go for a hike if I'm in need of some grounding or clearing, or getting back in my grounded energy. So as far as PKs go, if you guys have any questions about that, once they get to a certain point, they do gain power. So it'll keep, if I keep feeling bad, it'll keep kind of making me feel worse and worse and worse, and then it feeds off of that, and then it does have power to do things. So it basically is, like I said, it's a self-projection. It does have not a consciousness, but it does have a what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't have a consciousness, but it does have like a motive for stuff that it's doing, and it just is literally a self-projection of that negative energy, and it will start to do negative things. It will start to feed off of your depression and make that depression bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you guys have any questions on clearing PKs, generally, it depends what your beliefs are. So as far as like rituals, protection, I'll kind of go over that in a little bit. PKs, I've literally had clients who can tell them to go away, who can clear them, and some that can't. So it really depends on you. Everybody's different. As far as PK manifestations, so like I said, that's a self-projected entity you create with your energy. As far as that and dark entities go, Eddie was asking me what different kinds of dark entities there are, and if I can share an experience. I just had one the other night, which is kind of funny that I didn't do this before that. But as far as the dark entities go, so dark entities are going to be anything that has been summoned here. So there's literally countless different kinds. I can't even explain. They are all, there's not just like 5 kinds of dark entities. They're all different. I've even had like a lady say like there's an imp around me or something that freaked her out. So as far as dark entities go, dark entities are things that have been summoned here. So whether that's through, because they don't belong here. So usually it's through portals. People will create portals. And they'll summon these either like demonic things, low-level beings from other places. Usually that has to do with when you're getting into like darker ritualistic things. But as far as like demons, things like that, they're brought here and they don't belong here. You also have like lower level kind of like demons as well, or kind of like their minions is the only way I can explain it. But they go around and they do bad, and they're honestly really not that powerful as long as you know how to protect yourself. So as far as different experiences that I've had with them, lots of weird different kinds of dark entities. I've had an experience, I don't know if any of you have had experience with sleep paralysis. This is before I knew how to protect myself. So I had started into healing, and that just opened me up even more to be a conduit. Gosh, I've had so many experiences with, it's usually on the brink of sleep when they come. The one I can only compare it, I called it a chomper. And I've only had one other psychic actually experience this. But it came in the middle of the night, and then literally like I was sleeping on my stomach. It zapped my back, like paralyzed me, and then started chomping. The only thing I could figure out that it was chomping on was me being obviously startled and frightened for a second, because I was pretty much sleeping when this thing just like zapped my body and just started like chomping. So the second I lost the fear, it went away. So just know that being afraid of these things, they don't really have a power. It's just the fear that they can kind of get out of you gives them the power. So that's really what they feed off of to get stronger. I did have an experience actually 2 nights ago. And I'm just kind of going over just a couple just so you guys know there's all these different kinds. This I can only experience if you guys... If you've ever listened to, research him, Max Spears, he has a lot of really interesting things to say. He's sadly passed on at this point, because that's what happens to all of us that come out and start talking about how to not be afraid of things anymore. But he said he had an interesting experience with an almost predator kind of entity, and that what he instinctively did was he hummed this specific, like an ohm kind of tone at it, and it actually made the thing go away. I did have an experience the other night. where I was asleep and I was awoken by just a high pitch, just like a and it was the weirdest thing ever because instinctually in my third eye, I didn't do it out loud, I hummed a certain vibration, and that pitch got louder, and then this thing, I guess that I had echolocated somehow, it just started screeching and flapping its wings at me like a freaking bat. And so obviously that tone worked. I ended up just telling it to stop, and then it went away. But there's tons of different kinds of entities. I don't always see them. And as far as the difference just between dark entities, those have been something that's summoned here. So they definitely don't belong here. PKs are just actual manifestations of energy. So if you guys have any more questions about that, PKs aren't evil, but they can do bad things if you give it enough energy. So, and it will just do whatever chaos it can that you're projecting into it, whatever you're feeding into it. So if you guys have any more questions on that, I can say people who are also prone to PKs are people with mental challenges, or mental disabilities. A lot of them, if they don't have cognitive functioning in certain areas, they're heightened in another area. So I do have a background in healthcare. I can say that if you ever go to like mental wards or anything like that, they do create their own PKs. Mostly because a lot of them are stuck in a fear state, or maybe they're confused all the time. I've had experience with somebody, like people with dementia who have a lot of confusion all the time. They're fearful because maybe they have sundowners, things like that. They can create PK manifestations as well, which actually makes them a lot worse to stay in that environment with their own PK, because they're kind of stuck in their own head. So if you guys have any more questions about that, feel free to email me at wmegan, megan939@gmail.com. I'll probably be doing one more today, but if you guys have any questions on that, I know I probably didn't say enough. If you have any more questions, definitely feel free to reach out. But I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.